Hi everybody. I was quite inspired to shoot you this video. I don't know whether you can see this. There is this hibiscus flower, which used to be one of our favorite flowers. Back home in Sri Lanka, we would pick these flowers in the mornings and we would take it to the room, which was the altar room. Especially with my grandmother's house, we would go and put it there for every single pictures of the gods. So it's kind of like very sacred. And when I was about 4 or 5, I was for a short time staying with my grandparents up north in Jaffna. And I remember having this experience where one day I was in the garden and I'd cut myself and I was bleeding. It's quite windy today. Bleeding from one of my fingers, and I remember bleeding profusely and being so afraid to tell my grandparents what I'd done. So instead, I actually went over and they inquisited me. It's like, what did you do? How did you end up with the bleeding fingers? What did you get up to? What mischief? Anyway, I lied straight away and said, "Oh, the flowers. I squished them, and it was just the red thing. It's not blood. It's actually the the blood. The red color is from that." And of course, it was a complete and utter lie. But what's interesting was the lie was purely based out of the fear that I had for my grandparents, because I thought I was going to get told off, and I knew I needed to quickly come up with something that to a 4-year-old seemed plausible. And of course they looked at me like I was absolutely telling the lie. So they knew that that's not the ink or the color that comes from that. So they knew. and I got told off anyway for lying more than the actual pain of actually having this bleeding finger or whatever. But it just goes back to telling you about a story that reflects how we are so terrified of telling the truth, and what motivates us in adopting a deceptive white lies, or whatever you call it, instead of telling the truth, because we're trying to move away from a potential rejection or fear of being scolded or being punished or whatever it is. It can come from all sorts of motivated, well-meaning place, but how we program that and how we then take it on board to our psyche and to developing our personality is what the real truth of this pudding of the success or the failure of how we do it. And of course, when I got told off, one of the biggest decisions I made is because I got caught out, and I knew I got caught out by telling the lie. And I made a point to say, never again will I lie about anything. And that was me as a 4-year-old deciding, after a humiliation of being found out and being reprimanded and being punished on top of this bleeding hand that I was in absolute pain over. Anyhow, so if you're lying, if you're turning to deception or white lies, as we might call them, based on something that you don't really want to face because it's too tricky, or you don't have the skill right now, or the personality, or the strength, or the courage to own up to something, it's definitely worth questioning where that source comes from. Is it because you're fearing rejection? Is it because you're fearing judgment? Is it because you're fearing abandonment from the people that would otherwise love you, and by telling the truth somehow you're in jeopardy of that? So just question where this motivation is. Is it because you're humiliated? Is it because you don't want them to find out the truth? Is it because you are fearful of the consequences of that lie, or consequences of telling that truth? When it comes to something like bulimia, you need to think about that and think, okay, in which ways am I showing up as somebody who is deceptive? They won't necessarily know that, but you certainly will do. So you know when you're not telling the truth. You know when you've told somebody a white lie just to get out of a situation or get out of an awkward condition. But what is that survival mechanism? Where is it coming from? Where did it get reinforced? These are worth looking at in your journaling, and just explore them. Just say, okay, I'm going to look at what this means. Where did it come from? Why was I motivated to do that? And how did that now shape me? Because remember, it doesn't matter when you did it. but it presents you with two options. You can either go that way because of that situation, or you can choose to go this way because of that situation. One of my discoveries that obviously at 4 I decided telling the truth is the best strategy, and lying was not a good thing. It doesn't matter whether they will reprimand you, punish you, whatever. It's still worth just telling the truth and holding that high morals that you hold for yourself. So have a think about the ways in which you are using white lies, or you're turning to deception or blatant lies to cover up for something that you're not proud of yourself. It's worth journaling and exploring. Okay, that's all there is to today's shoot. This is rough and ready. I was inspired. I saw these couple of blooms. I thought, I'm gonna grab them. But I've got a bit of a migraine, I think partly because of my spot here, and it does provoke a lot of splitting headache in this sort of heat and sunlight. So I'm going to get out of this sun, and I'm going to wish you a great day. Reach out to me if you are struggling with anything specifically to do with your recovery or otherwise. All right, ciao. Look after yourself. Bye for now.